Novi Public Library Board of Trustees, Wednesday, January 9th. I think we got this fixed here. Let's stand up and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kat, would you call the roll?
Yep. Trustee Bartlett's absent, excused. Trustee Burke?
Here.
Trustee Crawford?
Here.
Trustee Dooley's here. Trustee Helvangus?
Here.
Trustee Gawalapu?
Here.
Trustee Stirring?
Here.
Student Representative Demore?
Here.
Student Representative Dwadwala?
Here.
Good to see you.
Moving on to the approval of the agenda. Everybody has the agenda in front of them. Like entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Support.
Okay. Any discussions? Additions? Deletions?
President Stirring, did you want to move that
I was
closed
going to put it in the
session?
consent agenda.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
wonderful.
Oh, I do have one quick change, and it's just for record keeping. Our location on our agenda is still at the library.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Good catch.
Thank
Good
you.
detail.
You're welcome. No, it's
I am
actually because I
totally.
went there before I did.
Oh.
And then I was like, wait a minute, let me check my phone. And then I'm like, we're at the
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's okay.
Good catch.
We should be here except for the March meeting
Got
all
it.
year
Got it.
Yes.
Perfect.
with our changes.
Thank you.
Will it change to the location? Any other discussion on the agenda? Ask the secretary to take the call. Roll call.
Trustee Crawford?
Yes.
Trustee Dooley says yes. Trustee Helvangus?
Yes.
Trustee Gawalapu?
Yes.
Trustee Stirring?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Next item is the consent agenda, and I would like to add an item to the consent agenda, and that would be that we approve at this point the closed session for the mid-year review for the director. If we approve it in the consent agenda, we don't have to have a special motion at the end. So I would like to add that as part of the consent agenda, which would be a closed session for the mid-year review for the director, and the director's requested a closed session. Other than that, are there any, well, let's take a motion for the consent, entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve as amended.
Second. Oh, who seconded? Okay. Thank you.
Any discussion on the consent agenda as amended? If not, Kat, would you take the roll?
Okay. Trustee Dooley says yes. Trustee Helvangus?
Yes.
Trustee Gawalapu?
Yes.
Trustee Stirring?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Crawford?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on, there are no presentations tonight, so it's the time for public comment. If there is any public comment, I'd like to read the instructions, even though I don't see anybody in the audience tonight. In order to hear all citizens' comments at a reasonable hour, the library board requests that the speakers respect the 3-minute rule, time limit rule. This is not a question and answer session. However, it is an opportunity to voice your thoughts with the library board. Citizens must state their first, last name, and address. Is anybody from the citizens that want to make a comment? Now is the time to do it. I do not see anybody in the audience or rushing to the podium. Moving on to reports. Student representative report.
The Tween and Teen Library programs for December included the Gingerbread House Decorating Program on December 4th. Patrons enjoyed a fun-filled evening of building, designing, and decorating their own gingerbread houses. Attendance was 53. The No Required Reading Book Club program was held on December 12th. Taking a break from reading for school, this book club is just for teens. Each month we will pick a new book to read and then come together to discuss our thoughts and feelings about the book. Attendance for this event was sadly 0. The Novi Chess Club program was held on December 12th. This event provides an opportunity for teens and tweens to participate in games, learning about chess, and sharpen their skills. Attendance for this event was 12. The December Tween Grab and Go Kit distribution was on December 13th. Patrons stopped by the library beginning at 10 a.m. to pick up a Tween Grab and Go Kit. Kits were available on a first-come, first-served basis and while supplies lasted. There's a limit of 1 kit per child. Attendance was 96. The DIY Waterless Snow Globes program was held on December 18th. Patrons made their own winter-themed waterless snow globes. Attendance was 40. For the Teen Space update, during December 2024, there were 658 patrons who visited Teen Space. The total weekly Teen Space stats for December 2024 were December 2nd through December 6th, 244 attendees. December 9th through December 13th, 240 attendees. December 16th through December 20th, 174 attendees. And December 23 through December 27th and December 30th and 31st, 0 attendees. Teen Space was not in session for the following dates. December 13th, there was a Teen Advisory Board meeting, and due to staffing, Teen Space will not be hosted on Fridays, where there's also a Teen Advisory Board meeting. On December 17th, Novi High School was closed due to no power. I believe December 18th, it also was closed. And December 23rd through December 31st, Novi High School was closed for winter break.
The fourth TAB meeting of the year was held on December 13th. We had our annual gingerbread house building and decorating during this meeting. Members split into groups and used kits with gingerbread, frosting, and candies to create some masterpieces. After building, members voted on the narrowed down names for the new teen area on the second floor of the building. This was a fun activity to ease into holiday break, and our attendance was a total of 22 members. As follows, there's also some pictures. In terms of upcoming programs, the Teen Space was held Monday through Friday from 2:45 to 5 p.m., with the exception of our vacation break and the days that the high school was closed. The Club Half-Blood for grades 4th through 8th is going to be February 6th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Treat Yourself Book Exchange, ages 16 and up, which I will also be attending, on February 12th from 7 to 8:30, so I'm excited about that. The No Required Reading Book Club for grades 9 through 12 will be held on February 13th from 4 to 5 p.m. Novi Chess Club will be held on February 13th and February 27th, 7 to 8 p.m. Oil Pastel Art for grades 4 through 8 will be held on February 19th, 7 to 8 p.m. And the Tween Grab and Go Kit for grades 4 through 8 will be held on February 21st, starting at 10 a.m. while supplies last, with our Teen Advisory Board meeting for high schoolers on February 21st from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. And our Teen Stop display for this month features some of the best books of 2024.
I have a question.
Yes.
What was the teen grab and go kit for December? I mean, that's great, 96 people.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I'll have to look up the theme, I'm not sure, but I can get it for you.
Can you explain what the grab and go kit is?
What they do is they create something that you can come in and grab. It's a craft that's set up and already packaged, but you take it home to do. Yep.
Thank you very much for your report. Any other questions or comments in regard to student representatives' report?
Thank
you.
Thank you so much. Good luck
Happy
with,
New
I
Year.
think you have exams and some things going on,
Oh,
so.
boy.
Novi doesn't do midterms.
Right, but you do have,
My AP classes on
yes, I know. We've seen lots of students in the building. Have you had a chance to check out, because you weren't at the December meetings, have you had a chance to check out the new single space study booth that's on the second floor?
Yes.
I would love your feedback,
Okay,
okay?
sounds good.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Good night,
Yes, good night.
Moving on to the President's report. I would like to draw your attention to pages 17 and 18 in our handout. You've seen this before a couple times. Fortunately, we have good proofreaders at the library, and every now and then they make a correction or they note something that was incorrect. And apparently, the counter for the digital was double counting some things.
Yes.
So, in this report, it's on page 18. The total number of checkouts is 835,917, and the total number of digitals was 158,979. That's approximately $19,000 or $20,000.
Yes.
20,000 less than what it was previously indicated.
Yep,
So-
and we found that when we were doing the state aid report and turning that into making, because numbers all need to align. And the digital information gets broken down even farther into certain types of digital needs. So when we were doing that for state aid, we realized that there was a mistake in the number and something got calculated. So
Okay.
I brought that to Mark's attention quickly because I knew both him and Brian were presenting at City Council last Monday. And so this is the newest version. It's gone out. We do put a date to it so that if we find the old ones, we can pull them. Everything else has been changed, though.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
It's
Okay.
still a high number.
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yes.
It's still
it
very
is.
high number.
Yes.
It's
Still
still
very
very
high.
high number.
Yes,
This is just the equity number.
right.
And picking up on that comment, Brian and I did interview for our respective positions as trustees for next year. There were 2 other people that were also interviewed for the library board, and there were 2 or 3 other people that had indicated an interest in being on the library board but did not show up for some reason. So anyway, there's interest in being on the board, and it gave Brian and I an opportunity to make a little presentation and stuff like that. And it really is no longer an interview.
No,
It used to be kind of a Q&A,
Yeah.
but it's turned into, you had 2 or 3 minutes to
Presentation.
make a presentation.
I actually like that better.
So,
Kind of shows what people know already and what type of, like research they've done about the library, but then also it gives the person just an opportunity to put their background with what might work, also with the position.
yep. The other comment I want to make, and it's item B, which is the board committee assignments, and these really don't change on a regular basis, but as we have terms that are ending and we'll have vote for officers, that's also a time for the committee assignments to change. So I just want everybody to start thinking now, if you like the committee you're on, if you don't like the committee on, think about what you would like to be on. And we get in a couple more months and then there'll be time to, ask to be on a different committee if you want to be on a different committee, or if you like the committee that you're on, to stay on the committee that you want. So anyway, but start thinking about that now, if, what you want to be doing a couple months down the road. That's all that I have for the president's report. I'll open it up to other trustees if they have anything relevant to the library that occurred to them or is coming up that they want to announce. Trustee Crawford.
Okay, just one thing I want to remind everybody that on the board is that our most important job as the Board of Trustees anyway is to ensure that the library has the resources that it needs to provide all the services to the community that are necessary. So as we approach our first budget planning session on January 18th, it's a time now to sort of reacquaint yourself with, maybe the manual, maybe the trustee manual, and look at the section that refers to budgets. And, I know there's absolutely no dumb questions. Now would be the time to prepare questions if you have questions about it. And I'm sure that that Chairman Bartlett would be glad to answer any of your questions prior to the meeting. But just to remind you all to start thinking about budget, because it is our most important responsibility. So, I don't know anything. I don't know if anybody here is a CPA. Doubt it. So probably budgeting is somewhat new to most of you here, especially at a city budget or a public budget. So just something to think about before we get to the meeting and then, are surprised by something at the meeting, or don't understand something but afraid to ask. So now's a good time.
And if I may piggyback onto that a little bit, because I was going to talk about that as well. I mean, the budgets that we will see on the proposed budget we'll see on the 18th, as you can tell, there's a lot of different line items for that. And I was going to suggest that if there's something that you think may require a little bit more data than just a number, like how does this work, now would be a good time to either ask Julie or to ask Brian to can you give me a little more information on this topic, because I'd like to know more than just a number. And I've already given Julie a few things that I would like to see. But if it makes the meetings go a little quicker if you ask in advance for some of the information as to how some things work and stuff like that.
And I'm actually, when you do that, I will take that question and get answers and make sure they're actually in the budget narrative, that it's not just a question that was asked behind the scenes, because I think it's good to share with the whole entire board and keep you all aware of it. So I'll make sure that that type of information is in that narrative. I can tell you that you're probably not going to see this budget until Saturday morning, just because of where we are with numbers coming in right now. I'm still waiting next week. I can't actually run my one report, even with our board meeting. If you notice, some financials are not all in there yet, because normally we run the 10th of the month to get everything through. But I'll do that so that you have a good look on Saturday of the 6 months, and all the invoices and stuff that have come through. But like a payroll, things like that didn't get done because of the holiday, and I wanted to make sure you have that. But it's not here yet, it's not reflected. And those are some reports that I wait on last minute, and then even change numbers for year end, and then also plan for the future as well. I'm working on salary stuff right now this week. I'll be working throughout the weekend, and then also through the week. But you probably won't get it in advance, which I think is okay. We're walking through it together. We're having good conversations, and we've got a good amount of time that we plan to be meeting from 10 to 1. I will actually send out Monday an email to you for some lunch options, so that we can take care of lunch and we can take a little break in between, just to get away from the numbers, because I know there's always a lot of them. There's definitely no decisions that are made at that first one. A lot of conversations is what happens for me to walk you through things, probably more on that second meeting. And I've given myself about 3 weeks in between each, so that if there are further questions, hopefully I can get those answered before we meet for our second budget session, and then approve it on the 13th. And I know that Trustee Stirring, you will not be here on February 13th, the actual approval, right?
I will not be here.
But Vice President Crawford will take over that night for the meeting,
Right.
so, okay.
Both the budget meeting and the regular meeting.
Yes, budget the second budget and the regular February meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, though, about budget at this time?
Didn't you last year provide us with like an extra column at the end that kind of like,
Notes.
explained
Yes, you get it,
So you're gonna do
absolutely.
that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do it every year, because if things change, it's my way of telling you too, and kind of like my information for you, yes. So you'll get lots of notes as well. Yeah. And I also, anything that's recurring in a budget narrative, that's been over time, even if you weren't on the board, I have tried to keep it consistent in the actual budget narrative information, because no reason to, if it's a question that would be good enough for all of you to know, and it's even new members, I'll leave that in there when it comes to finances. Some of those questions tend to pertain to a response from the city's finance department too, and that way you have it, and I keep that history going. Okay, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
A wild thought just occurred to me now as we're talking about this and the budget, and I don't think I'm the only one, but there's a lot of columns here that trying to get to the right column sometimes is a bit tricky. And I know during the current budget year, it's nice to have, the approved, the projected, and, any changes. But when we're going back to 2023 to 2024, do we really need to have, other than the first and the last, like we have, I'll just use an example, 2020, we're the first year in, fourth quarter, and approved.
Right.
Do we need all four of them at that point in time?
You won't be getting that.
I'm talking about for the past years,
But do you mean for Saturday when I give
I'm
it
just
to
talking in
you?
general in our financials that we get. We get so many columns
Like
here.
every
Right.
meeting?
Yeah,
I do that through the year only that you're making those changes, and then they go away, and then they clear off. So when I start the next, when I start the next budget and you have it in July, when we start that new budget year, you'll actually just have the audited number in the new year.
Okay, but if you look at our financials now,
Yes,
it goes back like 2020, 2023, 2000, has four different columns.
yes.
Do we need all four of those?
No. I can get rid of. Okay.
And I'm throwing this out to the board, that I sometimes, and maybe it's just my eyesight, it's getting
a
to the
lot.
right column
Yeah.
is kind of
Okay.
cumbersome, where I don't need that historical information that it bumped 3 or 4 times during the year.
Okay, I can definitely.
And I mean, I'm just throwing it out, but
Yeah.
I think we all are, none of us are, well, I shouldn't say none of us, but I mean, I don't know that we're CPAs, so that we're all kind of lay people looking at that. And we
Right.
see a lot of numbers, and I think if we can get rid of some columns.
You got it.
It would
Make it
help
easier.
me, and I
Okay.
think it'll help the other trustees.
Yeah, I can do that, absolutely. And then I know I had another question, to keep the colors to the same years through the 271 and 272. That was a question that I will make sure is for all of you. Yes. You got it. Thank you so much.
Did I interrupt you earlier, Kathy, or did you have more to
No,
say?
no, that was
Okay.
it.
Okay,
No,
that was
that's
it?
good.
Okay. Anybody else, any comments? Okay. If not, we're moving to the treasurer's report on the agenda. Brian is absent tonight. I know that Lori's on the committee. Do you want to say anything about the finance committee or the report? Otherwise, I may have a comment or two, but if you want to address anything, Lori?
No,
Okay.
There
I
you
didn't mean to
go.
put you on the spot.
but you did.
I won't have as much detail as what Brian would have, but I would suggest that we look on page 24. And this is in connection with the revenue and expenditure report for Fund 271. Which just conveniently, this financial report for December is the 6-month report. So we're like halfway there. So if you look at our total revenues, we're $3,814,000, and our total expenditures were $1,981,900, and the net of revenues and expenditures was $1,832,346. We're a little bit more than, we've spent a little bit more than 50% of the half year's budget, but we were projected to have about a $500,000 deficit this year. So reading between the lines in a very summary fashion, I'm thinking if this is somewhat consistent, and I know that there are expenditures that aren't exactly on a pro rata basis,
Right.
it would project to me only a deficit next year of $200,000, not $500,000. That's my shortcut way, and it's easy to do when it's at half year.
Yep. Except not everything has been calculated. through
Not
the
everything
half
is exactly pro rata.
year. Which is why I'm pulling that report next week. Right. So, but yes, kinda.
That's the way I look at it.
I know, no, and you're absolutely right, for the most part, but yeah.
We like
there's-
to sort of know that we're roughly, 1/12
Yeah.
of our expenditures, and all our revenue comes in pretty much all at once.
It does.
Our expenditures are pretty
Correct.
close to 1/12.
Yeah. What trustee Bartlett would probably, share is that there is still a position that's open. So, do you know what I mean? So that would,
Oh, right.
and that
So
would be why some of
salary
it
would
could
be-
be savings,
Sure.
right?
Right.
So I just want to caution a couple things like that,
Okay.
as we go through.
Which position is it again, Julie? I forgot.
It's the head of information services,
right, that's
Hillary's
Hillary's
position.
position.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
With that, we're moving on to the director's
All right.
report. Director Farkas.
I don't have
Up
too
to you.
much because I've been in budget mode. But I do want to call out for our February anniversaries that are coming up. On page 32, Eva Sobolchek is 9 years. She's with our support services department as one of our supervisors. And then Heather Hames is coming up on 1 year. She is one of our Sunday librarians through information services. So you see her every Sunday working with us. Page 33, we're currently in a book drive. We are working with Delta Kappa Gamma, which is an education sorority fraternity. And they are helping us with collecting books because we'll be adding a 5th read box, which will actually go to the Splash Park. Yes, this late spring in May. And so they were actually the ones who reached out and wanted to work on that project and bring some materials to that particular park. We always work with a city park in order to identify, a need for maybe another read box. It's easier because we know that we have maintenance, we have their, security, some methods for watching and looking at things to make sure. We fill the boxes every week, once a week on Wednesdays, and then, we can monitor them throughout. But I would expect that would be busy like ITC Park is. ITC Park has soccer fields, and this has, the splash pad. So we'll see probably lots of families and kids, and hopefully we'll be able to put in a lot of books into their hands. So far, over 800 books have been received.
Wow,
yes,
amazing.
which has been a really great turnout. So I appreciate the Delta Kappa Gamma fraternity for doing that. Moving forward, I know that we're looking to reinstitute our therapy dogs program, and we had been working with them. Some of our dogs retired and passed on, and so we were looking for new options. Lindsay Gochai, who is our youth and teen services librarian, has been working with both the Novi and the Walled Lake School District. Both districts have added dogs to their schools. And so we're trying to build that partnership between the library and the two school districts in order to have dogs available for kids to read to. So more to come on that. This is a call out and kind of getting that program together. So I appreciate Lindsay being willing to bring that program back.
If I ask a question in regard to that, was this call out for the volunteers to work with the children, or was this a call out for people with dogs?
It is. It's with dogs.
So this is a call out to dog owners who will be willing to let their dogs.
Right. But they have to be certified dogs, so they have to be trained. And we did that. I put it in there so that you could see we're working through the district, which they can probably identify them. But if someone else were to have them, they could also, give us a connection as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then you'll see the actual, the tail wagging Reading Buddies program on the next page 35, and then the opportunity for kids to stop in and read.
I just, in the bottom corner, it says add logos. I mean,
Oh, yeah, this wasn't finalized,
Okay.
right. We were working with the district at the time, and we showed that to them so that they could see what we were going to be putting out. No, that's a good call, thank you. Yep. And then on page 36, we have some financial security programs that are coming up thanks to Vibe Credit Union. We're holding those at Fox Run, and we are seeing over 50 registered for, and it's outside, so the library community and our Novi community along with Fox Run can participate. So those are being held in January and February, and so there's some connection with our Fox Run friends, I'll call them. And that's all I have. I'm happy to entertain any questions beyond that with the other reports that are included.
Any questions for our director? Comments?
Looks good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Moving along, this is the time in our agenda where we offer the public a chance for comment, a second opportunity. No one took advantage of the first opportunity, and I don't see anybody here, so we will move on to our committee reports. I will ask if there's any committee that wants to report on information or things that have happened or things that may happen, unless we're going to talk about them in matters for library board action later on. So, any committees want to speak up and be heard?
I do have one thing. We met, when did we meet? Tuesday, Wednesday?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, for the 60.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
For the, this coming October will be 65 years that the Novi Public Library has been open. So
65
we're
years.
having a 65-year celebration. So we had a very initial
Great.
meeting with, and Julie, can you tell us who all the different components?
Sure.
Two people from the Friends.
Yep,
You were
we had
there.
Friends,
I was there.
Historical Commission, library staff.
Yeah.
Yep, covering, and board. So covering 4 different particular groups that will help plan and put together something for a celebration for next October.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I saw Ray sent
October
out the
25,
next.
this October.
Yeah,
Yes, this October. Yep, 2025.
I saw Ray sent out the next appointment.
Yes.
So I'll try to block it off
Okay,
and work around my schedule so
Okay,
I can come to.
great. We would love to have
Yeah.
you. Yes.
I wasn't able to come to the first one because I was
Yeah.
like,
I know, well, yes, we understand.
Yeah.
And I did have our programming coordinator, Gail Anderson, I want to bring her in. She was not at the meeting. We talked a little bit about entertainment, and she does a lot of that for the library, which we appreciate. And so, one thing to just note in the future, I probably won't hold it on a Wednesday because that's a day that she's not working, and that way we can make sure that she's kept in the loop. But we can decide on that next date at our February one and then move forward from there.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It was a very good meeting. We
Yeah.
tossed around a
Good.
gazillion ideas.
Right.
and
Good.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be groovy.
Yes.
Oh, groovy. There's a hint.
Yes, exactly.
Moving on then to matters for library board action. First matter for board action is the emergency closing public policy. Find it on page 61. I would entertain a motion to approve the new emergency closing policy.
So moved.
Okay.
There's been motion in favor of, there's been support, any discussion? I look at this as making it clear that just in case the library director is not around at that particular point in time, who's ever been designated as their designee in the library director's absence can make that call.
Correct,
Rather simple change.
yes.
Any other discussion? In that case, I'm going to ask our secretary to call the vote.
Trustee Helvangus?
Yes.
Trustee Goalapu?
Yes.
Trustee Stirring?
Yes.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Crawford?
Yes.
And Trustee Dooley says yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Second matter for library board action is the remote work policy, which we had looked at once before.
Right.
And it's here in front of us again.
And I apologize, it should say second reading in the actual agenda.
Oh, you
So
are
we'll
correct.
we'll make a note of that.
Second reading,
Okay.
correct.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
It's been moved to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. And now for discussion. Anybody have any discussion on policy?
There were some questions the last time, correct? And did we get those answered?
We did. So I can answer them for you. I thought I
Yeah,
would, yes.
okay.
So there was a discussion about traveling to an off-site work event.
Yeah.
And if there is any difference in policy if you travel to the event from the library from home. So the assumption is if you're on remote and you're remote from home and you're traveling to an event for work, you would be under the city's liability and you'd be on work time. Okay? Discussion about the limited amount of remote work available to library employees and if the policy adequately conveys this. So it's on a case-by-case basis. We're not wanting to put hours and how much time in. I think that really needs to be dependent on what maybe the employee might need and what our organization might need based on what's going on, currently. So I don't want to put in and lock us into hours or time. I would rather see how this works. This is more robust and more detailed compared to the one we had before because that came out of being during COVID. And so I think this is more someone deciding to work, if we can, the opportunity to work from home a day or something and what that would look like. So, yeah. So I don't want to put timeframes in there if that's comfortable with the board. I think if you say 8 hours and then, we might need that person, we might need that person to come in during their shift and they might have been remote for a while, but then they come in, or, I need that flexibility.
There was also some question about liability too,
Yes.
wasn't there? Yeah.
Yep, so the next
we
one
get
is
those answered.
discussion about liability. The liability is that we are falling under the city in terms of liability, so if they are on work time, the liability does take effect. I mean, so we they would be covered under the city, and then there would be an investigation. And then you had a question about the security. We do use a VPN, and they would be using it through our system in order to access anything through the library. They wouldn't be using their own systems, they'd be using ours. We'd make sure, we have a number of laptops that they'd be utilizing, so we'd make sure that they were library property.
And our policy mirrors the city's policy?
Pretty much. We took out duplicates, but that's why I wanted to give you the city's policy. The city's policy is longer, but again, there were a lot of dupes that we just pulled out. Kristen did all that just so it didn't repeat itself. But the language that I know I had a concern about was the liability, which I highlighted for you in the city's policy, so that you could see that we actually have the exact same language. And that's on page 74 and 75, which is the city's, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other comments? Any other questions?
Nope.
Kat, would you take the vote?
Yes. Trustee Goalapu,
Yes.
Trustee Sturry,
Yes.
Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Crawford,
Yes.
Trustee Dooley says yes, Trustee Helvangus.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Moving on, next item is communications. I believe we have no communications that I'm aware of this evening.
Yep.
And the next item is the Director's Mid-Year Review. We've already approved this, so we don't have to vote on it. And we're going to take a break right now to do that.
Yes, okay. And then we will be back.
We will be back. Stay tuned.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think From the closed session of the mid-year director's review. At this point, no decisions were made in regard to that, so nothing to report, other than I would now entertain a motion for this meeting to be adjourned.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Secretary, would you call the vote?
Trustee Sturry,
Yes.
Trustee Burke,
Yes.
Trustee Crawford,
Yes.
Trustee Dooley says yes, Trustee Helvangus,
Yes.
Trustee Goalapu.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.